She is actually the founder of Mantra House, so like without him, like none of this would have started. So we're very grateful for his leadership in the community. So let's give a warm round of applause for Bhakta.
I'm about to just set up this presentation here. And like she was saying, I just got back from New Zealand. There was an amazing like yoga retreat that was happening. So today we'll be speaking about a particular subject that's actually very well relevant in our modern times. It's a subject that I believe is very crucial to our understanding in this particular time and place. Not only because we're the next generation that's coming about and we're going to be the ones in certain positions that are going to influence others, but also because we're dealing with very calamitous times. We see that there's a great shift in the political structure. We see that not only the youth but the citizens of the world, they're hungry for something higher. So I believe that in this time a great revolution can actually take place, and something that's very positive and can make a monumental shift in not only the life of other human beings but the whole of life on earth. And so I took the liberty of titling this talk, "The Revolution Begins Inside," a contemporary outlook at the greatest revolution of our time. And so to start off, I want to define the word revolution from the Latin term, which is revolutio, which means a turnaround. It is defined as a forcible overthrow of a systematic or social order in favor of a new system. And as we further move along, this gift that we see at the bottom here, which it seems like the population is continuously shifting leaders after leaders. As we further move along in our presentation, this picture here will make a lot more sense. So what actually sparks a revolution? Revolutions are sparked for several reasons. It can be from the systems of control neglecting their citizens' basic human rights, or it can be an imbalance of wealth distribution, as it's quite evident that we see that in our day-to-day life. Or it can be racial discrimination, gender discrimination, political injustices. And in today's world, we're even revolting against those systems of control that are neglecting the very home that we live in, our planet Earth. And so we can begin to ask ourselves, is there a need of a revolution in this specific moment in time? So what do you guys think? Think there should be a revolution?
Yes.
Yeah. And so here at Mantra House, we're very well aware of the corruption that is happening on earth. And it becomes like a regular subject of discussion, maybe even on social media platforms. And so here, in this picture that we have here, these systems of control are manipulating the earth's natural resources for the sake of profit. Very vividly here, it's a very crude example, but there's nothing like having something beautiful and for the sake of greed and profit you want to get it and make money off of it, gain power off of it. So this is one aspect of the current state of affairs. Another aspect is that we have become subject to the greatest distractions for the human being in the history of the whole human society. We have become enslaved by pop culture media, whether we see on the television set, whether we see that on our social medias, whether we read about it in the newspaper or we hear it from one another. We're all distracted by this sort of so-called nonsensical entertainment, that the interest of these people that propagate this sort of information is simply to make money. And sometimes it's entertaining, but it's also very vividly mind-numbing. You find yourself staring at some reality TV shows. I myself was a victim when I was younger. We didn't know what to watch on TV, so we would look into VH1 or MTV, and we would just be completely absorbed in whatever emotional experience was happening there. So these types of experiences, whether we know it or not, keep us blind from higher aspects of reality, well, to speak of ultra-dimensional realities. And our brains, due to our conditioning, become beat up and battered by the norms of consumerism, the name brands of consumerism. You ask a 7-year-old certain questions about his favorite TV show, what he likes to eat, and he can name you all these brands. So you can see that we become deeply affected by these things in the modern world. And we have become entrapped in this cycle of chewing what's already been chewed. In other words, we're consuming without any proper inner values, not really understanding why we're doing the things we're doing. And as you can see in this picture, we have a clear cycle here. We have the capitalists of the corporation. Due to the money that we're giving them, they're pumping out items that we tend to like. And usually we tend to dispose of them in a matter of a year. We get over them within a few months. And that's how the cycle continues. We give them their money, they give us this, and therefore you have this vivid example. But we can ask ourselves, is this really our fault? Because now in this present moment, we have chosen the ignorant to lead us. We have become so engrossed in pop culture and the TV, and engrossed in celebrities and nonsensical entertainment, that we have no ability to distinguish what's truly beneficial in our day-to-day life. We elect political leaders that we grow up seeing on the television. And so as generations come about, because we have no proper guidance, we're beginning to choose such individuals to lead the nation and the world. So this is the great ignorance that happens in today's world. And it doesn't really allow us to advance in the human form of life. So therefore, any revolution without any proper leadership will lead to a repeated cycle. Basically what we see here is that, yes, there will be certain revolutions that take place and certain revolutions that have taken place in the past histories of the world. But without any proper guidance, without any proper knowledge of the self, then it'll become a repeated cycle. Oh, this leader is not protecting us, this leader is not giving us what we need in order to feel that there's some pleasure in this life. And why is it a repeated cycle? Because such revolutions are simply superficial, only to satisfy the senses. Without proper knowledge, we think that the ultimate goal, the ultimate aim of life is to conquer our bodies, to get what the body desires, whether it be healthy for us or not. And eventually we get nowhere as a human species. We're in a continuous cycle, destroying the earth, and perhaps getting a little bit of temporary pleasure, but ultimately leaving the world without any true knowledge. So we tarnish away the precious human spirit, the precious human opportunity, the present human reality to actually make a beautiful change in this world. But there's hope. The actual revolution, as stated in the intro of my presentation, is that the actual revolution, the true revolution, begins inside. Now, how does this revolution take place? We have a quote here by Jim Morrison. Does anybody know who that is? He's from a band called The Doors. Well, he said, there can't be any large-scale revolution until there's a personal revolution on an individual level. It's got to happen inside first. In other words, we need a revolution that will not only transform the face of society, but will first transform the heart. And it'll sway us on the direction of not only knowledge, but to ultimately love. Through this conception of love, we'll be able to create amazing change in this world. And in my presentation, I'll try to show you guys why. So right here, what we have here is the tools for knowledge. This allows us to welcome everybody to the superconscious revolution coming from these ancient teachings of India. This is when this type of revolution, the superconscious revolution, the one that begins inside, begins to differentiate from other paths, other revolutionary paths. Because we're equipped with ancient knowledge that transforms the very core of our being. We have here the Bhagavad-Gita, which introduces a human being to begin to distinguish between matter and spirit, to begin to understand that we're not these bodies. We have other books like the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which means knowledge of the universe, and it begins to explain the universal principles of existence that are not only prevalent here on planet Earth, but are universal, meaning throughout the whole cosmos. And it begins to really give us a beautiful hypnosis on the beauty of life itself. Is there life on other planets? The great questions like, why are we here? Where are we going? What is the ultimate source? And ultimately, we have other books like Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is, over time you guys will be able to easily pronounce that, which really dive deep into the most exuberant topics of spiritual ecstasies coming from the spiritual dimension. In other words, in this physical plane, with this type of knowledge, if we begin to apply it, we'll experience that ultimate love, that ultimate experience that is all-pervading. And we do that through spiritual cultivation. So this is why Mantra House is here, to help guide us into a different type of knowledge that awakens in us that spiritual revolution. And so the effects of such spiritual revolution when you're equipped with this type of facilities is that you begin to connect. You begin to connect with every sphere of life, with different people from different parts of the world, with different species of life, with so many different, within the whole scope of life, you experience so many different beautiful things, not only on this part of the earth, but on different parts of the world. And you begin to see a great unity within all of us, that we're all connected. You begin to see that we're all coming from the same source, and that everything is ultimately divine, actually. And we begin to protect the earth, and this is the beauty of spiritual knowledge, that it allows us to see this. And we begin to defeat easily misconceptions such as racism, racial injustices, gender injustices, so many different things that come from the bodily conception of life. So this is the beauty of this knowledge, which is very easy to comprehend for one who's actually eager to understand this knowledge. And so I want to share with you guys that as you guys begin to read these books, you'll come across certain anecdotes or certain things that will really move your heart. For me, it was in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is one of our main books. It's like an encyclopedia of spiritual knowledge. And right at the beginning, our spiritual teacher, he gives a beautiful preface on what we're about to read, and I'll read it for you guys. We must know the present need of human society. And what is that need? Human society is no longer bounded by geographical limits to particular countries or communities. Human society is broader than in the Middle Ages, and the world tendency is toward one state or one human society. The ideals of spiritual communism, according to Srimad-Bhagavatam, are based more or less on the oneness of the entire human society, nay, of the entire energy of living beings. The need is felt by great thinkers to make this a successful ideology. Srimad-Bhagavatam will fill this need in human society. It begins therefore with an aphorism of Vedanta philosophy, Janmati Asya Yataha, to establish the ideal of a common cause. Human society at the present moment is not in the darkness of oblivion. It has made rapid progress in the fields of material comforts, education, and economic development throughout the entire world. But there is a pinprick somewhere in the social body at large, and therefore there are large-scale quarrels, even over less important issues. There is need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Srimad-Bhagavatam will fill this need, for it is a cultural presentation for the respiritualization of the entire human society. And so as we dive into like-minded association and we take a stand for self-knowledge, we begin that revolution as it begins inside. And we begin to blossom and uncover the hidden depths of the human potential. We work together for a common cause, to advance together through this human experience and help others along the way, to bring about a revolution of unity and ultimately spiritual connection. So this is the beauty of this ancient knowledge. And as we begin to cultivate the self, not only do we cultivate the self, our spiritual realities, but we begin to cultivate the earth too. Similarly as to when we water the root of the tree, the leaves get benefited. So as to when we awaken to this spiritual reality, that we're not these bodies, that there's something superior to us, and that we can utilize this human experience to not only attain knowledge of that spiritual dimension, but ultimately how can I connect with the ultimate form of human expression, which is love. And so through that love we can begin to protect the earth, because we see it part of that divine love. And this allows us to begin to awaken to that beautiful spiritual potency that lies within us, and we can begin to make a beautiful positive change in the world. And as you guys come to Mantra House, we see that this mantra sound vibration is something that we utilize in our day-to-day practice. Actually, it's a very core of our practices. Through this frequency, this mantra sound vibration, we can begin to come together to chant these ancient names and to actually feel that higher frequency as we go out into the world and continue with our school, with our work, with our families. We can really utilize this center here, this Mantra House Center, which is like a center to awaken the self, and utilize this mantra frequencies, this sonic sound vibration, for not only our benefit, but how can we benefit others? How can we help others? Our family members, our friends, the strangers sitting next to us in the bus or in the Uber, wherever it is, we can always make a positive change through mantra sound vibration. And as we're able to utilize it, this beautiful knowledge, we'll be able to light the path for others. Other people who feel lost in their way, who feel depressed, who are losing hope. We'll be able to help them out. We'll be able to give them something that's truly beneficial in their life. And we encourage others to keep coming to Mantra House, to invite their friends to come to Mantra House. And we'll utilize this place to cultivate inner awareness. We'll utilize this place for this super conscious revolution, and to, within our own efforts, try to make a positive change in the world. Because we see, whether we're college students, or we're at workplace, or we're at school, or we're with our parents or family members, we're at a party or whatever, we're easily influenced by what we see in others. So why not influence something powerful within ourselves and be able to give it to others? This is like the actuality of the human form of life, to guide everybody. And so now that, this was the end of my presentation, by the way, so I want to thank everyone for being here. Now I want to utilize these last 10 minutes. I'll try to save the questions for when we have the vegan dinner. You guys can come to me and ask me any questions. Because since we just had a trip, we just had a retreat in New Zealand, which some of the audience members here from Mantra House, they came to us. I want to share with you guys some clips, some footage of what we experienced in New Zealand. Basically, we were in this festival called the Recharge Festival, and it's run by my spiritual teacher. His name is Devanrita Swami, who travels around the world, and maybe you guys have seen his book, Hiding in a Natural Happiness. And so he has this end of the year festival where a lot of his students come together and we hear from him. We have amazing musical sound vibration. We have amazing discussions, amazing vegan dinners, and we just have a blast out in the wilderness. So I'll just give you a quick timeline of our trip here. This was in the van. Generally here in Los Angeles, all we see is like dry mountains and a bunch of buildings. So over there I was fascinated by this beautiful row of trees, which just looks mystical. And so I took a picture of that. Then here we have Christian. He's right here with one of our monk friends. His name was Atma Dharma. I feel like he just woke up or something. And then here's a picture of the van. There was about 9 of us in there. We were heading our way. I was absorbed in the scenic views, just amazing views. And a lot of them, since they live there, it's something normal to them. They're just reading or sleeping, but most of us were just out in the window, just looking out, because it was super cool. It's a long journey. It was an 8-hour drive. So a lot of us were falling asleep on the way. There's Christian there. He's like in yoga. He's like meditating. But then, once we got to the actual center, it was very beautiful. Atma Dharma, since he's been there a lot of times, as soon as we got there, rather than like settling in and putting our stuff in our cabin, we went out for a hike and he took us out and about to the river. That was the river. There's pristine waters. It's like super cool. And that's Christian again. He's posing. And then on every morning we would either drive to the actual center where we were having like mantra meditation, and we would like have this amazing glimpses of this beautiful scenery here. It looks like a painting almost. Something that we're not used to here living in Los Angeles. And like beautiful green mountains everywhere. Just fresh air like every time. Like super amazing. I think this is a video. This will just give you a quick glimpse at the scenery there. It's Howard and Christian.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was our trail. We had just left one of the events, and we were heading back to our cabin. We were probably gonna go swimming, or you guys can read there. There's amazing facilities there for people to completely absorb themselves in their spiritual practice. Like really amazing. There's another picture here of Christian in the beautiful scenic background. He was reading his book, and I was just completely immersing myself in the atmosphere. It's like really charged with like spiritual energy. Here's another glimpse of this Christian was chanting the mantra there. And that's where we have the center, that's where we have the festival. Every day about 180 people from all over New Zealand, and like certain people from Australia. I think we were the only ones from like another continent. I think we were there from, there was only a few of us from different parts of the world. We were the only ones from Los Angeles. We all come together and just have an amazing time there. It's like having amazing kirtans, musical sound vibrations, amazing seminars, understanding how to utilize the spiritual knowledge in our day-to-day life. And here's another video of the type of atmosphere that we were in. That was Christian reading once again. There's people there practicing musical instruments. Others were doing group reading. Other people were cooking. Other people were having kirtan. Others were just running around. It's like It's really amazing. I really recommend everybody to try to come with us next year, because we're gonna try to do these annual retreats, and we're gonna try to bring everyone to come along. And here's a picture of Devamrita Swami. He was reading us parts of the book Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Devamrita Swami will actually come to Mantra House. He'll give a nice talk, I think sometime around March. So I definitely recommend you guys to come. Really amazing. He's written some of his books, Hiding in a Natural Happiness. And so he has these annual retreats that really literally recharge your batteries for what's to come in the year. So this is my 3rd year going, and I keep coming back just because it's super amazing. This is just a glimpse, since we were absorbed in the musical ecstasies of dancing. I didn't have enough time to take pictures or videos of it, but towards the last few days I decided to take a picture of it, and that's what I caught, this is nothing compared to what you experienced there. It's like super amazing. And sorry for the sloppiness here. This was actually my 2nd plate. We have amazing like vegan breakfasts and dinners, and it's definitely, it's like the only reason I go. No, it's really delicious and super amazing. Everybody's here connecting and meeting people from different walks of life, and really getting inspired by other people's practices. A lot of them there are reading 2 hours a day, and really dedicated to their practice, and you could see it in them. You just become really absorbed in their energy, and so it's super amazing, super beneficial. And here's the last of it. That's the last of our trip, hitchhiking, trying to get back to LA. And the last picture that I'll show is one of my friends over there. He gave me this t-shirt. It says chant, dance, feast and repeat. So this is basically the sole principle of our revolution here at Mantra House, where we chant, we dance, we feast and repeat. And as we continue this, it really transforms the heart because of the spiritual sound energy. And so thank you guys very much. This is the last of my presentation, and I think right about now we can take some questions if you guys have any. Thank you guys. Yeah.
Girls or like females at your retreat?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a mix of both. They're both equally there. It's just that in the retreat we have a facility where the guys are staying, and they can do guy stuff like play sports, go swimming, hiking. And then the girls, they have their facility, and they're having like seminars and having amazing discussions. And at the end of the retreat, the families get back together, and they utilize this time to cultivate their own spiritual awareness, so that when it comes down to going back to work or going back to school or going back to whatever part of the country or world they're from, they can utilize that knowledge and really cultivate that spiritual knowledge within their families and their friends. And so as of now, the people from Mantra House, it's mostly guys that have been going, but we're definitely working a retreat for the girls so that they can begin organizing, and they can also come with us to this most amazing retreat. It's called the Recharge Festival. So at this moment we have about 12 months to prepare, and so and time goes by fast, because next thing you know it'll be February. So if any of you guys are really interested in coming along this retreat, just let me know so that we can begin organizing. Myself and Roman and Christian and Howard, we're already preparing to go again next year. And not only are we planning to do a retreat to New Zealand, we're also planning to do a retreat to India. And so this will be our first time doing it, but with organization and good strategy and good connections in that part of the world, we'll be able to have something nice for you guys, where we can all go and really experience different parts of the world, like New Zealand and India, maybe even different parts of the US. But yeah, that's what we're trying to do.